One of the world's courageous military commanders, widely recognized as the most powerful king in Europe, was Napoleon Bonaparte. However, he remains one of history's most controversial figures, with some praising his capabilities, while others criticize his hunger for power. Questions about the immense loss of life attributed to him persist. Napoleon Bonaparte, a towering figure in European history, was born in Corsica on August 15, 1769. His early years were marked by a relentless pursuit of education, despite financial struggles. Napoleon's military prowess emerged during the French Revolution, where he swiftly climbed the ranks, displaying strategic brilliance in key battles. Pasquale Paoli emerged as a leader in the Corsican struggle for independence. And a young Napoleon embraced Corsican nationalism, inspired by his childhood idol Paoli. Burdened by debt and war, decided to literally sell the island of Corsica to France in 1768. The turning point came in 1769 when the French army clashed with Corsican forces. During the Battle of Ponte Novo, following a swift victory, France claimed Corsica as its territory. Carlo was a lawyer who initially fought alongside Corsican freedom fighters. But after the French army's triumph, Paoli has to flee the country, and Carlo switched allegiance. He used connections to make advances in his career. He secured the status of nobility. By 1777, he became Corsica's representative to the court of the new French king, Louis XVI. But it was his father's connections that Napoleon and his brother Joseph secured scholarships, enabling Napoleon to enroll in the French military college. At the college, Napoleon was surrounded by the children of French aristocrats. He faced ridicule at school due to his distinctive accent. Unfazed, he refrained from socializing with his peers, viewing the French as colonizers. His dream was to witness his country, Corsica, achieve independence. Napoleon's isolation drove him to find solace in books. For primary reason for that was Rousseau wrote about Corsican freedom and considered the Corsicans brave in his writings. In addition to philosophy, Napoleon exhibited a keen interest in mathematics, history, and geography. Like Alexander the Great and Julius Caesar, Napoleon found inspiration in Caesar, often drawing comparisons. Napoleon joined a military academy in Paris, specializing in artillery, graduating as the second lieutenant of the Royal Artillery in the French Army. With the onset of the French Revolution, during this period, Corsica fell under the jurisdictions of the new French National Assembly, leading to the pardon of Pasquale Paoli. After a 20-year exile, Paoli returned and was greeted warmly by the people of Corsica, including Napoleon. Subsequent elections in Corsica saw Pasquale Paoli emerge victorious, becoming the president, and Napoleon holding Paoli in high regard. Paoli harbored resentment towards Napoleon's family. Consequently, Paoli declared that such traitorous families could not live in Corsica. In 1794, France is thrown out completely. Corsica's breath attacks the British and once again comes under the French rule, of which at this time, a civil war of its own was going on in France. There were many French revolutionaries and some counter-revolutionaries from different factions. Different groups had been formed. Everyone was fighting each other. What happens in 1793 is that a political group named J. Cabins comes to power and forms the government. In France, this group was being led by Maximilien Robespierre. At such a time, Napoleon writes a political pamphlet in which he expresses his support for the Jacobin government. The naval base was very normal. An uprising was being seen here by some group, and then later the British force also attacked here. Napoleon was sent by the French army to take command here. At this time, the position was senior gunner and artillery commander. He made a plan to win this battle and shared it with his commanders. Said that, look, first we capture that fort. Then from there we will reach that hill and we'll be able to dominate from there with our guns. We can attack the British ships from that place. They fought very bravely and the French army gets their victory. The general of the French army says about Napoleon and the coaches, "I have the merit to describe Bonaparte. There are no words." Napoleon was an amazing human being with a lot of technical skills, an equal amount of intelligence, and a lot of bravery. After the Civil War, all men were given the right to vote. Women were given the right to divorce. Never before this a woman could not demand a divorce. Then it was extended to right to education and working conditions also. Robust Foot not only abolished slavery in France but also banned slavery in the French colonies. By 1799, Napoleon had become first consul of France, consolidating power. In 1804, he declared himself emperor, establishing the First French Empire. His rule brought about significant reforms, notably the Napoleonic Code, a comprehensive legal system that influenced legal frameworks worldwide. However, his centralization of power raised concerns about the erosion of democratic principles. Napoleon loved power enough to be in Europe for the next 10 years. They fought battles one after the other. 3 will sign 720 duties. But soon the fighting would start back up as many of the power-hungry kings and kings of British were deeply afraid of the ideology of the French Revolution and considered Napoleon a threat. Was his kingdom ideology? Napoleon says, "Without discipline there is no victory. The enemy must understand that discipline, wisdom, and the respect for property support its victories, that pillage and theft belong only to the cowardly, who are unworthy of remaining in the ranks." In 1798 was a pivotal year marked by his ambitious expedition to Egypt, part of his broader strategy to challenge British dominance in the Mediterranean and disrupt their trade routes to India. The campaign commenced in May as Napoleon led a formidable French force, comprising soldiers, scientists, and artists, to the land of ancient wonders. The Battle of the Pyramids in July saw Napoleon's triumph over the Mamluk forces, solidifying French control. However, the naval battle of the Nile in August dealt a severe blow to Napoleon's plans, as Admiral Nelson decisively defeated the French fleet, stranding Napoleon's army in Egypt. Despite this setback, Napoleon implemented various reforms, aiming to modernize Egypt and establish French influence. His encounters with local cultures sparked widespread interest in Egyptology across Europe. Napoleon's absence from France during this time allowed political developments to unfold back home. In November 1799, he returned to seize power in a coup, effectively ending the French Revolution and establishing the consulate with himself as first consul. Thus, the events of 1798 set the stage for Napoleon's rise to power and left a lasting impact on both European and Middle Eastern history. In August 1798, Napoleon Bonaparte embarked on a significant military campaign that would later be known as the Egyptian Expedition. This marked a crucial phase in his career and had far-reaching consequences for both Napoleon and the broader geopolitical landscape of the time. Motivated by a desire to challenge British influence in the Mediterranean and secure French interests, Napoleon set sail for Egypt with a formidable force. His army included experienced soldiers, scientists, and scholars, reflecting his ambition to not only conquer but also to establish French dominance in the region. The initial stages of the campaign were successful, with Napoleon swiftly capturing Malta in June 1798 before proceeding to land in Egypt in early July. His forces encountered little resistance, and by the end of August, he achieved a decisive victory over the Mamluk forces at the Battle of the Pyramids. However, August 1798 also witnessed a naval encounter that would alter the course of the campaign. The Battle of the Nile, fought between the British Royal Navy, led by Admiral Horatio Nelson, and the French fleet, resulted in a significant defeat for the latter. This defeat stranded Napoleon and his army in Egypt, cutting off their communication and supply lines with France. While the military victory showcased Napoleon's tactical brilliance, the geopolitical situation changed dramatically. The loss at the Battle of the Nile weakened France's position in the Mediterranean and allowed the British to consolidate their influence in the region. The strategic implications of this defeat reverberated beyond the Egyptian expedition, influencing the broader balance of power in Europe. Napoleon's first significant love interest was Josephine de Beauharnais, whom he married in 1796. Their relationship was characterized by intense affection, yet it faced challenges due to political and social pressures. Josephine's previous marriage and Napoleon's rising political career added strains to their union. Despite these challenges, their love endured for several years. Napoleon famously remarked, "Power is my mistress," reflecting his devotion to both military conquests and his personal relationships. The Battle of Marengo took place on June 14, 1800, during the Napoleonic Wars. It was fought between the French army, led by Napoleon Bonaparte, and the Austrian army under General Michael von Melas. Despite being initially outnumbered, Napoleon executed a brilliant tactical maneuver, leading to a French victory. The battle played a crucial role in securing Napoleon's rise to power in France. The French Revolution, and considered Napoleon a threat, was his kingdom ideology. It was first given by the thinkers of the Enlightenment, like the left-wing revolution of Rousseau, and Voltaire was the ideology of Ries. On the other hand, the people of the right wing had the ideology of Ries. Monarchy and social yes, supporting Iraqi was fought in reverse, in which monarchy is a war against France. When Napoleon's army went to Italy, they said that the French army has come to break the chains of the Italian people. We have no differences with the common people. We have come to destroy those kings and emperors in power who have kept you people captive. Gave them freedom. Austin Kings Francis to same you therefore Bonaparte's unheard of title of liberator of peoples and founder of Republic tribute. Monarchy is a war against France. He named his Symphony No. 3 after Bonaparte, declared himself the king, and declared Carrot the king through a false referendum. He shouted angrily, "Napoleon is just a man, not a god." Now, out of greed for power, he too will oppress the people. He changed the name of his symphony again, removing Bonaparte's name, thereby reintroducing the salary. The most important woman is the one who gives birth to the most children and gives priority to men after divorce. Anyone who spoke against Napoleon was sent into exile, and all the independent newspapers were closed down at that time. Collins Honey sing how Napoleon dreamed as a child. Corsican starts a war against independence. King Carlos IV of Spain has to be dethroned, and Napoleon hands over the throne of Spain to his brother Joseph. Before this, Joseph was also king of Pulse and Sicily. Napoleon's younger brother would have been made king of Westphalia. In 6, when the kingdom of All End is captured by Napoleon, Napoleon also makes his brother Louis the king there. But behind all this hunger for power, Napoleon's team Geo for the first time, France got a clear legal framework where, but due to law, feudalism ended for them. The balance that existed was more in favor of the government. Now whatever work was done in the church was not done by me myself, it was under the control of the government. Establish a Bank of France in 300. The hyperinflation which was being seen earlier came under control, and their currency became stable, and no person inside could avoid paying taxes. Small education system. Napoleon set up primary, secondary, and high schools. France will establish a university. It will bring uniformity in the education system. Teachers started being trained, and a centralized recruitment started. Teachers' distribution. In 1808, he modernized the old water pump of Paris. A new canal was built so that water could reach Paris directly, and it was ensured that the people living in Paris would never die of hunger. The store rooms were solar galleries. They were also modernized. He built 8 new markets. Everything starts happening in an organized manner. The French people never spread hatred against any one religion or any community, nor did Napoleon ever adopt any strategy of divide and rule. It is true that Napoleon may have killed millions of people, but he also won many lives due to his bravery and greed for power. But many also lost. Like the G-Option campaign I talked about, the forces of all the French elite countries over Britain refused to fight at all. The Russian forces retreat and set fire to the field itself, so that when Napoleon's forces reached there, they will have nothing to eat. He waited for a surrender from the other side, but nothing came. With the city empty and no food available, Napoleon had to surrender to his hungry army. The debate over Napoleon's legacy extends to his impact on the concept of nationalism and the spread of revolutionary ideals. While he championed the principles of liberty, equality, and fraternity, his imperial ambitions contradicted the republican values he claimed to uphold. This paradox adds complexity to assessments of his legacy. In conclusion, Napoleon Bonaparte's life and legacy are richly textured, encompassing military triumphs, transformative reforms, and a complex personality. His imprint on the course of European history is indelible, with enduring debates about his contributions and shortcomings. As a military strategist, legislator, and statesman, Napoleon remains a figure of historical fascination and analysis. Thank you for taking the precious time to watch this video. Please like, comment, share, and subscribe.